Welcome to the official Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast. My name's Ian.
And my name's Nikki, bringing you the best in comics and graphic novels and updates from the festival.
Hello and welcome to the Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast episode 52. My name is Ian.
And I'm Nikki.
And we've been to Oldham.
Yes.
You forgot then?
Well, I was still concerned over what the cat was doing to the glass.
It was just last weekend.
I know.
Just been.
I went to sleep since then.
Well, yeah, true. I was about to say you went to sleep on the day, but you didn't.
I didn't.
So we're going to talk about Oldham Comic Con number 3 in just a moment. Mm-hmm. We've got no Mike or Pete on today's episode.
Why have we not got them?
Mike's playing with his little men.
Oh, is he?
We'll leave it there. And Pete's just too busy reading Hellboy, I think.
Well, that's not good enough.
I know.
Why do we pay these people? We got Tom.
Yeah.
Oh.
Does
Tom get the number 1 badge now?
We'll still give Mike and Pete 100% of the profits from this episode.
Absolutely. We are so generous.
I know, we are.
That's a big bag of nothing.
We've got reviews of Cannabis by Box Brown. And also, I know you've not read these, but I have.
I've been busy.
The man that is Matt Garvey's released not one but 2 comics.
Oh, he's not stopping, is he? He's become some kind of weird machine thing.
It's right, isn't it? It's easy for them, isn't it? So I'm told. But no, he's released 2 comics. Obviously, he's got different artists for each one.
He hasn't stopped. There's more. It's like 5 or 23,000.
So I'll have a quick rundown of those 2 as well. Mm-hmm. Later on in the episode, we've got reviews of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We finally watched that.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Of course, that's got nothing to do with Spider-Man, the voice. He's not Batman.
Yeah, but I quite like doing that voice.
And also Detective
Pikachu.
You had the opportunity then to go a bit late now.
Pikachu!
So before we do that, let's talk Oldham.
Pika. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you want to do this? Should we just run down the day as it went?
From the top to the bottom.
Yes. So we got in the car.
Oh, too early in the morning.
Wasn't that early?
It was. You got me up at 10 to 7 on a Saturday. It wasn't when I got up.
There's a lot of people out there who sell at these events that are complaining at you now, saying I've got stuff at 4 o'clock in the morning and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not them. And they're probably like early bird people and they're probably fine. And I'm old.
You're not old.
I'm old.
Anyway, so we get to Oldham. Mm-hmm. First things positive. Free parking.
Yes.
Well,
you had to remember to pop out again and press the button.
3 hours free.
Followed by another 3 hours free.
Followed by another 3 hours.
And then another 3 hours.
However,
yes,
it was free parking, and the parking was right outside the new venue of the Queen Elizabeth Hall.
It was properly right outside, wasn't it?
Properly
outside.
I was thinking, we're going to get confused. First impression when you walked in compared to last year's venue of the library.
Oh, it's an awesome venue. It's right, isn't it? It's exactly what you need for this kind of thing.
One huge
room.
Hall.
Yeah.
Hall.
Oh, hall. With glittery bits.
Yeah, it was severely glittery bits.
There was a lot of glitter.
Up the top. Yeah.
A lot of foily glitter.
So you walk into the hall and immediately you are faced with comic guests tables.
Yep.
You had those on either side.
In the middle, you had people that were famous. And then you had the sheep who aren't famous corralled in the middle.
Oh, way to put it. You had the small press.
That's the ones. That's us. That was us.
Or you, I should say.
That was me.
And then at the back were the vendor tables, so they were hidden out the way.
I liked that.
So all of your Pop Funkos and stuff.
Yes. It was 2 separate areas, but it was 2 separate areas, but it wasn't 2 separate areas, because it was one big room. Mm-hmm. It was nice. There was a nice flow to it.
Yes.
So you flowed around the whole thing.
So focus was a Comic Con. Let's be honest. Chat to Dennis Whittle, which I've got an interview later on.
Yeah.
And he talked to me about what his aim was, which I'll let him go into full detail. But the basic of it is he wants comics to be for everyone.
Yeah.
So the event itself is completely free.
Yes.
No charge whatsoever, including parking.
Including parking.
There is nothing to pay for once you're in there.
Yep.
Other than the comics, obviously.
And drinks, and there was a bar.
There was a bar on site. Selling.
This can only be a good thing.
There was panels. Yes, there was only a few panels, but they were all free.
Free, yeah.
And it was his plan is just to have this event free for everyone.
Yeah.
And that even includes cheap, if not free, down the line for small press tables as well.
Which is brilliant, really, because as small pressy peoples, you don't have much spare cash to do this kind of thing.
Well,
it's
you don't
very
make
hard,
much,
if anything,
from it.
Yeah.
We'll go into that in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, you don't go to this thinking you're going to walk away with bucket loads of cash.
But that's exactly what I went to. No,
you go hoping
right.
to make a bit of profit to fund your next project.
Yes, and also to get your name out there, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, chat to people you never speak to normally.
Yes.
So something that Dennis and me chatted about, because I left you at the table. Something that Dennis and I chatted about. He was quite open because we had a chat briefly about events after I'd finished recording, and he did question me as to my thoughts on paying for events.
Yes.
And obviously he brought up the Lakes Festival, and it was a fair comment. You know, are comic events too snobby? Are they stuck up their own, backside sometimes?
Right, yeah.
Are they making people pay? And it's not just talking about comic events like the Lakes or Thought Bubble or places like that. Talking about, obviously, the let's be honest, the crappy ones.
Yeah.
The comic cons that don't have any comics in them whatsoever. And it did make me think. I'll be honest. It made me think, is it right? I mean, luckily, I sort of thought about the Lakes and came back on the fact that the Lakes is free. Yeah. Bar if you're a serious comic fan
exactly.
and you want to spend all weekend watching panels, because there is a lot.
Yeah.
So that sort of said, well, yeah, actually, to be fair, it is free. The kids' event's free. The town hall's free. There's so much free. So that sort of reassured me that.
To be fair, like Oldham, that part of it, walking into that, it's the same as walking into the town hall.
It is.
So in that
the guests
effect,
are signing.
Are there and you can see them for free. Yeah.
But there are other events where none of it is free.
Yeah.
Or very minimal is free and they're promoting it as free,
Yeah.
And it is. Do we need to have a rethink? It's not an issue charging a couple of pounds at the door for some of the events because you can't always get them the halls free.
Well, that's it. You've got to cover your costs. Yeah.
And I think he's done a great job in getting some benefits from the council and so forth for Oldham. So it was just an interesting conversation. It made me think, what are we doing the right thing with comics? Are these events helping?
If, like the Lakes, they're ploughing it all back into the industry,
well, that
then
is a bit different.
That's the other thing, isn't it? Once you become not like an institution, but you are supporting creators. You're bringing, so that's a different area, which is what the Lakes falls into.
Area,
but we're talking about just normal cons you turn up to.
Yeah.
Then I think you want to get people for the door, don't you? You don't want to be putting people off by charging them to come in.
And the biggest thing, which everyone talks about so much, if you called a Comic Con, have comics and creators.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Oldham anyway.
Yes.
So, how did your day go? So this is your first time selling Leaf.
Yes.
But you also tried a new item of selling little framed pictures as well.
Watercolour postcards. Yes.
So, let's talk about your day. How did it go to start with?
I wanted to go home and cry.
Why is that?
I was nervous anyway.
Yeah.
And then they opened the doors and then for the first, hour?
Yeah.
I sold nothing.
How much?
Nothing. Just nothing. And I was getting on your nerves, I think, just a tad, because
you'd given up.
I'd given up within the first hour and gone, that's it, I may never leave the house again. I must hide under a rock and never pick up a pencil.
Never coming back here again.
I wasn't leaving the house, let alone go anywhere. And then we sold a bookmark.
Well done.
And then I was happy. Because I thought, well, at least I've sold something. And then I went for dinner and had my wardrobe malfunction. And then when I came back, there was lots of money in my little float thing, and you'd sold loads, and then it just built and built and built from there. And it was...
Stop. Reverse. Wardrobe malfunction. What happened?
I don't know what happened, Ian. I still don't know what happened. All I know is that when I went up the stairs to the chill zone, I felt a little bit drafty. And then when I sat down on the seat to have my dinner, I realised my right bum cheek was a little bit cold. And my jeans had ripped. And I
hilarious.
don't know how.
And you even thought somebody was having a peek at them on the way up.
Yeah.
Peek at your bottom.
And my bum. So I had to wear a hoodie wrapped around me like a dress for the rest of the day and
hilarious.
not sit down. It's not funny.
It's absolutely hilarious.
Only me. No idea. 'Cause it's like a proper rip. Like I've been slashed.
Anyway, fast forward now. So, back to sales.
They just built and built, and I made a woman cry at the
Was
table.
that your bum?
No. In front of me. She picked up anxiety me, and she was looking through that. I said, "Oh, that's my sad one." I said, "This one's a happy one." I said, "It's a children's one. It's happy. It's about friendship. It's got a lovely little fox in it." And she stood at my table, which a lot of people did actually, which was a bit annoying.
We'll come to that.
Yes. And she went through the whole book, and then she burst into tears. And I'm like, okay, I thought it was a happy book. And then she was kind of like bundled away by her husband and her children. And she stood just out of eye shot, which every time I turned my head, I saw her just wiping her eyes. And I was going to Joe, because I had Joe with me at the time. And I was like, "Joe, what have we done?" And that's when Joe went, "I read Leaf and I felt a bit teary." And I thought, what have I done? So anyway, she came back and she told me there were happy tears, and then brought one of everything off the table.
There you go.
I will destroy people to bring them to me.
It's quite interesting. The Awesome Comic Podcast episode just gone have done a talk about making money at cons and so forth. So it just sort of links to what we're talking about. And that was one of the most annoying things, was people would come to the table, they would sit and they'd stand and they would look through your entire anxiety mate in particular.
Yeah.
Say how amazing it is, and it's really, put it down and walk away.
Yeah.
It wasn't, they just read it, put it down, negative. No, they loved it.
Yeah,
they thought
loved
it was
it.
really good.
They worked with people with anxiety, or they suffered from anxiety, or a member of the family had anxiety. Yeah. They loved, like you say, loved the artwork, and really spent time, put it down, never saw again.
Don't read a whole comic. Have a flick.
They didn't want to part with their three of your English pounds.
But don't look at the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
That got you. Whereas I just I was in a bubble by this point, and I was like, whatever.
So we ended up effectively making a profit on the day, and the way we're looking at that is cost of the table,
cost of petrol,
the travel.
Yeah.
Lunch was near a hair or nothing. I don't think that should be. So you made a profit on the cost of the comic and everything. So
yes,
it was good.
Yes,
well done.
Success.
And you went out there buzzing.
I did.
And we're going to talk about what that leads to at the end of the show.
Okay.
Let's look at some negatives of Oldham, because I think it's only fair to look at, we can't be positive about everything. Mm-hmm. They had a kids sign-in thing, so the kids could get signatures on squares on every single table.
Yes. It's a great idea.
It's a good idea. There's nothing wrong with the idea. I don't think it worked.
It definitely didn't work.
The kids weren't even remotely interested in the people at the table.
No.
The parents
would push in. If I was like having a sale, they would push in and just thrust this thing at me. It's like, actually, this person's going to spend money and I'm spending time with them. Could you not do that?
It just felt,
there were some of them were very rude.
Whilst doing some interviewing, which we'll talk about who interviewed in a bit, again, they were just pushy. They weren't interested in talking.
Oh no, they didn't stop. They didn't look at what you had on the table. They were literally after, and we didn't know which bit we had to sign to start with.
No, but that didn't
that's
really
just
make
one
a
of those
difference.
things.
So I think the idea was really good, but it needs to be implemented a different way, and I'm not sure how.
I don't know how. I think, like you say, it was a great idea because it was designed to make people to go to each table and see different things. You know exactly what they're going through, but it didn't work.
Whether another way to do it would be to have a piece of paper on the table and they write down the character, so you don't actually have to communicate directly with the person behind the table.
Yeah, that might be better.
Stop them doing what they're doing.
Or a stamp or something actually, or a reel of stickers, so they could just do themselves at your table.
Another negative minor fault was the tannoy system was very useful.
It was very loud.
Stopped
and often.
Conversations.
Yeah. There's a few times I was like, and we would just look at each other whilst they were doing.
But at the same point, I understand what they're doing.
Oh yeah, they got to do it. Yeah.
And I think those two little minor niggles will not stop any of the enjoyment of the people there. That is just as people selling and
yeah. I mean, the signing, I know some people weren't happy with the signing of the little booky things, but it didn't bother me.
But it wasn't. That's not stopping the customers' day. That at the end of the day,
that was enhancing their day. Really,
Tablers' annoyances, not ruining, not things that damage the actual con itself. So really, we shouldn't have said it. I got quite a few interviews, which you whinged about.
Yes, because you just left me alone with a packet of polos. That was it.
The
alone, there was selling solo.
There was a lot.
All on my own.
Alone. Right, I'm going to read some of the people that were actually there, and then I'll tell you who interviewed. So you had Kevin N. Hart. There was Steve Yeowell. I interviewed him. Nick Brokenshire was there. Didn't bother with him this time. We attacked his tail in the morning.
We did.
Keith Williams, Al Ewing, David Millgate, Mike Collins, Dan Cornwell, Amy Chu, which I'm annoyed I missed. I didn't even realise she was just a bit up for us, but I was doing all the interviewing on the other side, so I missed.
Was she?
Yeah.
Oh.
David Leach was there. Lou Stringer was just opposite us. Lee Townsend, to name but a few. Mm-hmm. So, who did I have a little chat with?
I don't know, because I was left alone.
Coming up shortly, we've got interviews with David Millgate, Kevin from Deadstar Publisher, rock and res artist Dan Cornwell, who's got an amazing story of how he found out. Mm-hmm. He was working with John Wagner. Zenith artist Steve Yeowell, Dennis Whittle, the organiser, Asa Wheatley, Kat Willott, and Sammy Ward. Al Ewing, who is obviously the Immortal Hulk writer, and the legend is Keith Williams, who is such a lovely guy from New York. First time he's been out of the country for an event. He's so happy to be there and just chatting to fans. And it took me ages to get an interview with him. Because every time I went up there, a guy had to come with a stack of comics to get signed. It's like, oh, right, okay, I'll come back. And he was just laughing at me. So, overall thoughts on Oldham Comic Con?
We'll be going again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was brilliant.
It was a really good day.
Yeah.
Really good buzz.
Yeah.
And I think Dennis is doing as much as he can for the customers and the sellers.
Yeah.
I really do think he is.
Yeah.
And whatever little niggles may be there, they're nothing that matters in any way, shape or form. Mm-hmm. So if you've not been, plan it next year. I think it'll be announced very soon, the dates and some guests already.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, plan it. Go down if you're within an hour.
We'll be there.
We'll be there, and it's going to be free again.
Yeah.
And that's all that really, that's the biggest thing you can say. Brilliant day.
Fantastic.
So thank you for the whole team who ran the event.
Yes, thank you very much.
Right. So before we listen to those interviews and Tom, we've got a couple of reviews. So the first one, Cannabis, An American History by Box Brown. During the holiday, I read the Tetris book that he did as well. And they're very similar in layout and style, i.e. they are a history of a particular topic. That one being Tetris, this one being
Cannabis.
Wacky, man.
Is that your... Right, okay.
So, Nicole is a high cannabis user. And
hey?
I often find comic book pages torn out and she's puffing away in a corner. No.
Never in my life.
His art style is perfect for what the stories he's trying to tell. It's very simplistic in what he's doing, black and white, slightly shaded, but it's all.
It supports the amount of information coming through. It doesn't.
It's all about the information.
They both. It's a nice style because, like I say, there's a lot of information on each page. And everything is nice and simple, but gets the message across. It's a nice partnership between art and writing. And there's not too many words, if that makes sense, on each, because some of these they just flood. Yeah, you look at it.
Your panel with so many words. You're like, you might as well just write in a book. This seems to fit really nicely with information, the amount of words, and so forth. Now, between the two books, honestly, I prefer the Tetris one because I've got an interest.
Yeah.
In that story of what happened in the gaming and so forth.
That's a really interesting book, Tetris one.
I've never really had an interest within the cannabis industry. So the subject matter didn't really pull me in. However, it was still interesting to see and read how the drug has grown from its roots way back in the Egyptian times and so forth to now, essentially, and how the legal side has changed throughout the world and the countries and America in particular. So yeah, if you're interested, I think the way to put this book is it's perfect if you've got an interest in the drug trade, as in how it works and runs, and the history behind it, and cannabis in particular being a semi-legal.
Yes, yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? Because it's almost socially acceptable, but not socially acceptable. So you're not odd if you've got an interest. Yeah, I've got an interest in ecstasy. Actually, I did when I was a teenager. No,
I bought a book on ecstasy.
You bought a book on it
because I was thinking of taking it as a, a 17-year-old.
Well, at least you did your homework.
But I never did at the time. It was like I was so prepared, but I never did. Like buying a cinema ticket and never actually going.
And I don't know if that's sad or no, it's sad.
It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah.
I was a very geeky, dance-orientated teenager. But anyway, let's move on from there. So I abuse myself in my past life with my curtain hair, as you keep laughing at.
Short curtain hair. No one should have had short curtain hair ever. Ian had short curtain hair in the 90s.
Mr. Matt Garvey. He's worked with John Mcfarlane, Allison Hu, and Rob Guillory. We'll go over Guillory. To create Untitled Generic Space Comedy #1.
I just love that title.
At the same time, I'm going to also talk about Pray For Us, which is again by Garvey and J. Francis Totti. The reason I'm going to talk about them together is because they are so different.
Do it then.
Which is really interesting how somebody's writing such different pieces of work. Because I think it's safe to say, certainly the ones I've read of Matt Garvey's work, they've been dramas is probably a good way of putting them. Sort of they tell the story and there's a specific story. Untitled Generic Space Comedy is, as it says, a comedy. A comedy of errors, a comedy following two guys as they go to a spaceport, essentially. So many references from the 90s and sci-fi as a whole. I suppose I should say 70s because Star Wars, But anyway, sci-fi as a whole, as they bumble through this little tale, which leads to what will be the next comic going on down the line. It's entertaining, it's funny. The art is ideal for it. It's a nice little comic and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Obviously references always help. They really do. They bring it out straight away. They bring out all your memories and so forth.
I was going to say, you get that instant connection.
You do. Yeah. You do. But it was very, very clever, very good. And then you read Pray For Us, which again is a sci-fi crash landing on a planet and there's something out there on this planet that he's investigating. That's as much as I'm going to say on the story, but it's where UGSC is littered with words and everything. This is just art telling a story more than the words.
That's why he can get these all out if he's just the writer.
Well,
if he's not put any words in it.
Yeah. So they're very well worth checking out.
Definitely.
As Garvey's work generally is.
You have to check. Sir Lord Garvey's.
Them. Sir Lord. Right, so we've got Tom coming up. He's going to review Hello, Dolly by John Tucker.
I want to sing that now.
Go on then.
No.
Which bit?
No, the Barbra Streisand. Hello, Dolly.
You just did. Have a listen to some interviews and we'll be back to talk a bit about the Lakes Festival and some movie reviews.
Hello, and welcome to Small Pressed, the Small Press review section of the Comic Art Festival podcast, with myself, Tom Stewart from That Comic Smell podcast. Now, today I'm going to be talking about the latest instalment from John Tucker. John Tucker presents Hello, Dolly, a limited production for Free Comic Book Day, May 4th, 2019. Thankfully, I was down at the Awesome Comic Podcast, episode 200, where John turned up and presented me with print copy number 2. I think there was only like 4 or 5 of them that were actually printed off of his computer, so it's a little black and white, I think a little 4-page A5 printed comic. Now, spoilers ahead, because John's stuff, you can't normally talk about it without getting spoilery about it. So now if you want to read Hello, Dolly firsthand so that you know the absolute weird and wackiness John Tucker piece that I'm speaking about, then go to his Twitter page at John Tucker Art and experience it firsthand. But let's delve in a wee bit. Hello Dolly is about a guy who works at a poison factory getting invited by some of his work colleagues. So he's the new guy, and it's some of his work colleagues who are all inadvertently bald, and he's got like a big quiff, and he's getting invited to go and see Dolly. And when the guy arrives at the Wet Ones club, by the looks of things, there's all manner of things going on around about. There's fires and everything's spray painted and boarded up and everything. And he goes in and it's just like almost like a variety show. This presenter that comes out, it's just screaming at them, and they're all screaming back at her, and he almost can't take it himself. To which the presenter says, all joking aside, here's Dolly. Dolly just so happens to be what would be described as like a ventriloquist dummy, because there's a bald guy attached to it, but it doesn't actually speak or anything, it just clacks and clicks, and the crowd goes absolutely nuts for this weird and wonderful doll, to which the new guy, in seeing this, laughs. None of Dolly's fans appreciate this in any way, shape or form, and turn on him and say that they'll have to teach him a lesson. I absolutely love John's stuff, because you never know where it's going. It could start off so harmless and just so monotonous and nothing really going on at all, and giving you a sort of basis of who the character is or the setting, and that's it. And then it just turns into something like a weird and wacky episode of Inside Number 9 or that kind of ilk, like Lee Gentleman sort of thing, but with like a weird kind of Twin Peaks thing going on. I don't know, John, I've said it before, John is like the master of inconceivable comics, so I genuinely couldn't put a genre on this at all. I can't put a genre on most of these stuff, you know, it's funny and it can be heartfelt, but it's so weird and wonderful that it just works so perfectly. It's the thing that's needed if you're just wanting something a little bit different within your comics. And John's style is just absolutely perfect. Beautiful, kind of solid, illustrative sort of lines, and all the characters just look a wee bit kind of disjointed, but fit so perfectly with the tone of what John's going for. They've all got sort of odd-shaped faces, but they're all so unique. I mean, even the four guys that he's done that look very sort of similar with the bald heads, they've all got their own kind of eyeballs or their own kind of shape and nose or whatever. You know, there's no carbon copy, no cut and paste within John's stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. But then when he needs to show the absolute grotesque nature of something and really freak you out within it, he puts such hyper detail into things. Like the presenter's hand, when it's like Dolly, is just so knobbly and notchy and weird and wonky. It's so creepy, but it's so fun. And to have it in plain black and white printed off a computer as well adds to the kind of atmosphere of the whole thing. And it's, you know, there's no hyper detail in the background or anything. He doesn't need to focus on like, this is what's going on here. It's just plain setup, like this is the characters, this is what's going on. Even the name of the club, it's just spray painted on. It just says Wet Ones, and that's it. The last few panels on the last page, you can actually see John's working lines of where he's drawn out all of the characters originally and then where he's actually placed them. It's really, really cool. I don't know why that just sort of adds to it and it all wrapping up, but adds to the aesthetic of the whole thing. But yeah, I was very, very glad to get a hold of Hello Dolly, and it's definitely well worth a look. John's work is just overall worth a look anyway, but to have this kind of really creepy latest installment is fantastic, and it is funny. I mean, if you've got that kind of dark sense of humour, you 100% get behind John's work. You can keep up with John on Twitter at JohnTuckerArt and Instagram at JohnTucker, JohnTucker. If you also go to johntucker.co.uk, you'll be able to keep up to date with all his latest works and be able to access his shop from there as well. John also has a newsletter that you can sign up to as well called Hellworld. He puts them out every now and then, but it is actually a really good wrap-up of what's been going on with him recently and what he's been getting up to. And it's in John's obscure humour as well, the way he writes it. It comes across great. I mean, he writes it as just like a diary entry, and he does get quite serious and tell you what's going on, but he just litters it with just wee one-liners and stuff in between that make it entertaining. But it's called Hell World, and you can subscribe to it if you go into his blog section on his website at johntucker.co.uk. But definitely, highly recommend Hello Dolly, and like I say, you can get it for free just by going onto his Twitter page anyway. Definitely check it out, and whilst you're there, check out some of his other work as well. Well worth a look. I think Sido, that's coming out at the Glasgow Comic Con, is being launched just as one-page poster-size comic, is going to be an absolute hit. So yeah, John Tucker at John Tucker Art. Check it out. And that is Small Pressed for this week. You can find me on Twitter at Uramyx, URAMYX, or at the podcast Twitter page at That Comic Smell. You can also find my own podcast on SoundCloud and Spotify and Podbean and most places you get podcasts at That Comic Smell. And that has been Small Pressed for this week. I'm Tom Stewart, and I will see you later.
So David Millgate.
A lot of people call me Max.
Max. We're with Max. How are you doing today?
I'm good, I'm enjoying it. I always do. You meet lovely people.
Yeah?
Yeah, and this one's nice because it's free for everyone to get in.
I think that's the big thing. It brings so many different people
than
what you normally, not just comic fans.
Exactly.
Other than that, being noisy in the background. So the first thing that jumps out to me on your table is the front cover you did for 2000 AD. Which issue is it?
Prog 2129.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
It really is stunning.
Cheers, mate.
What have you done before then with 2000 AD? I'm assuming you've done strips.
Yeah, I started working for them, I guess, around 92. Mm-hmm. It's so long ago now, I can't remember exactly when it was.
You don't look old enough.
Well, I'm 51, would you believe?
No, I wouldn't actually.
Thank you.
I'm being honest there.
Yeah.
I'm feeling old now.
I started off doing strips, but I was fully painting them. And I don't know, I think it was just soul destroying it ultimately, because I would spend too long on every panel, you know. So I sort of started veering more towards like one-off illustrations, hence doing covers.
So with stuff, not going into page rates and stuff, but would you be paid the same, say, as somebody who was black and white, or
you got a page rate if it was in colour, and obviously the fact that you were painting it really didn't mean that you got paid more.
Right, okay.
You could be spending 3 times as long on a panel as a traditional inker.
I can see how that would be quite.
So it just doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're one of the big names who can command the higher page rates. Yeah. And I just found I got bored too quickly doing that.
So you moved on to, like, say, covers and so.
Yeah, actually. I'm doing a series of paintings at the moment for a heavy metal band in America. They're from the Bronx in New York, and they're not a well-known band at the moment. They're called Homeric, and they're really like symphonic metal. So they're kind of a cross between death metal and symphonic film score music. So it's really kind of different what they're doing.
You just never know. They could just blow like that.
Yeah, you just don't know. And they got in touch with me and said they were doing their second album. It's a concept album based on Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
So I thought, right, this sounds something really interesting, you know, because it's about the 9 levels of hell. So I read the original poem. It's actually, I thought it was a novel, but it's not. It's actually like a poem.
This is,
I thought they call them cantos, I think. I don't know what that means.
I'm
Italian for poem, but no, me neither. Anyway, I read it. I thought, wow, this is such like rich material in terms of like the imagery that conjures up in your mind as an artist. I thought this is just so up my street. So I'm doing like 10 paintings for them. They're gonna do like a book that goes with the album. And my paintings are like A1, so they're pretty big. Actually, like the biggest paintings I've ever done.
Okay.
And there's a kind of a montage feel to the artwork, so there's a lot of elements in each picture. So each one can take me like about a month to do. I think I've just finished number 4. Yeah, number 4, and I've got another 6 to do, including the album cover.
So how long for, say, a 2000 AD cover, how long would that take you to do?
Well, this Dread one that you just mentioned that came out last week, I think I spent a good week on that.
Right, okay.
7 days, maybe 8 days, because there's quite a lot of detail in it.
There's a hell of a lot of detail in it, it really is.
And I just wanted to see if I could make Dread look cool when he's just sitting down on a cushion. it seems to work. Because
I didn't even notice the fact it's a cushion. It makes it different. I don't know why. You'd imagine him sat on a solid card.
I knew that drawing it. Obviously, I was aware that Dredd, if Dredd doesn't need anything, he doesn't need a cushion. But I just thought, if I can pull this off, it will be something. And a few people have commented on it.
I've just realised.
On the cushion.
Yeah.
But I think he still looks kind of, iconic. And that was the whole thing. Was, can I still make him look good when he's just sat there holding a book?
Is there a particular character you really enjoyed drawing?
Well, Dredd. Yeah, obviously Dredd's he's such a brilliant visual character to draw.
And so many different things you can do with him. I feel. You can just check slight alterations to change the way he looks.
Every artist, and so many artists have drawn Dredd, that you can, there's always a little bit of leeway, as long as you don't go too far and break the rules. You're allowed a little bit of leeway with the costume, as long as it stays, within certain parameters.
It's Dredd.
But I like a lot. I mean, I grew up reading 2000 AD from when I was a kid, from issue 1 really. And so I've always liked ABC Warriors and Slain. And obviously later on I got to co-create Sinister Dexter with Dan Abnett. Although that was Dan's baby, really. Yeah. I just happened to be the artist they asked to design it and do the first strips.
But then you're getting how those characters look, though. So
So everyone then followed what I'd sort of done, and a lot of artists, really good artists, have done it since. But
needs to be a TV series. Can I just say that? So that needs to be a TV series.
Totally, I could
not a movie. It's got to be a
really
series.
Seen it working great as a TV series where you can really expand on the characters and the backstory and everything. It would be kind of hard to do it just in a movie.
It's just you just haven't got enough time.
Which is how I kind of feel it is with Dredd. It's really hard to distill Dredd into a 2-hour film. I think it really suits a TV series much better because you could really explore Mega City 1 and all its facets.
Fingers crossed for Mega City.
And let's hope that happens,
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So if people want to see more about the artwork you're doing for the album, where can they find that?
Well, the album will be out next year.
Okay.
About this time next year. So they won't be seeing anything just yet. It's all under wraps at the moment.
Okay.
But they're called Homeric. And so watch out for that. They're from New York, and if you like extreme metal, that's definitely on the cutting edge and doing something different. It's worth checking out.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Cheers.
Thank you. So with me we've got Kevin from Deadstar Publishing. How are we doing today?
I'm not too bad. It's the first time we've been to Oldham, so it's a bit of a change of pace for us.
So where are you usually based from? Where do you
based down in Cardiff, but we travel about as far west or east as London and up as far as Birmingham, but this is a one-off for us. We don't normally come as far as Manchester.
Proper north, you see. Come up north, come and see us all. So what have you got here then? What sort of books are you a creator yourself? Or?
I started off as a writer, and then over time I moved into the publishing side of things.
Okay.
So we've got a range of things for everyone. So we've got things from crime-fighting dolphins, Dolphin Squad.
Why not?
Exactly. Superhero dolphins, fighting land-based crime, right way through to Dexter's Half Dozen, which is our Stan Lee True Believers Award-nominated black and white comic, which is a Second World War, bit of a mix between sort of Hellboy meets Indiana Jones.
Okay.
So we're up to sort of 10 issues of that now, and a couple of months ago we launched the first graphic novel of it, collecting the first storyline, The Stone Child, together, and so that's been quite successful, and we're working on getting the next collected edition out probably next year now, because it takes a while to remaster these things. But we also do lots of community pieces, like Age of Savagery, which we brought out last year. We're working on a second volume at the moment, which is a chance for indie and very new creators who haven't had any work published before at all to get involved and get something on the table, because rather than spending a year or two producing your first comic, we've put 22 creators into the first volume, and between them we were able to turn out in 6 or 8 months an 80-page graphic novel, full colour, with credits throughout for everyone, which other people will then be able to take to shows all over the place. And in fact, Sarah Elliott, who's got a table here today as well, is one of the creators, and she's already said that she's interested in doing a piece for the second volume.
Brilliant.
So from the back of the books like that, we're able to help people launch their careers.
So with stuff like that, how do you fund it? Do you split the profits to the creators afterwards, or?
I fund the whole thing.
Fund the whole thing?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So we've been going since 2010, and it's got to the point now where sales are one thing, fund the next thing, fund the next thing.
Right, yeah.
So if Kickstarter had been around 10 years ago, I would probably have done then what a lot of people are doing now of kickstarting things, but it's got to the point now where we don't really need to. So we're selling enough for one. Does get the next one known.
I think if you don't need to, why? Because it's the challenges involved in Kickstarter.
Yes.
So your books, then, I'm guessing, are a range for kids as well as adults, is it?
So Dolphin Squad is our most family-friendly thing on the table. It's plenty of sort of references that the small folk will get, and sort of plenty of story for them as well. But there's also lots of references that us larger folk will recognise too. Because there's things like, in the first volume, for example, we've done the fake history of Dolphin Squad, charting their fictional history back to 1930 as a golden age comic, and then we've interwoven that with fictional events and the real comics history right the way through to the modern age.
Well, thank you very much. So if people want to find out about the books, where can they go?
You can find us at www.deadstarpublishing.co.uk.
Thank you very much. So with Dan Cornwell, how are we doing? How are you finding it today?
Thank you.
Absolute joy, I have to say. It's I don't think I've ever been to a Comic Con with quite so many children, which bodes well, doesn't it?
Important, isn't it? It's so important. Oh, get signing.
There we go.
Got to keep signing these squares.
Yeah. Fantastic turnout, thank you.
So have you found the children been really involved in your artwork that you're seeing? Or?
Yeah. I've never been to a Comic Con with this many children.
Being free, I think, is
exactly,
the balance,
and they're all interested, which is fantastic, isn't it?
It is. Now, Rock of the Rest. I was so pleased last year to have a chat to John about this book, and I only bought it because John was there selling it.
Yeah.
But, because I'm not a fan of football, I absolutely bloody loved it.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Absolutely. You know, you saw one of those things, you're like, oh, he's signing it. I'm not going to say no, it's John Wagner.
He wouldn't let you walk away with that one anyway.
To be fair. It's like the thing of the interview. You've got to talk about it.
Yeah.
But no, I was surprised by it's not about football. That's basically what I found.
That's almost like the side story to it.
It is.
You know, it's more of the character's struggle with being whoever the character is, Rock being Rock, and trying to deal with that. And obviously, there's escaping his past. And all that. He could have stumbled on any human at the time. He could have been a baker. He could have been a bus driver.
Wouldn't be maybe as interesting. But
yeah, exactly. But yeah.
So how did you get involved with that then? With such legends?
Tell me about it. I was driving a bus, which used to be my day job, and my phone pinged. And when I got to the terminus, I looked at the phone, and there was a Facebook message, unbelievably, from John Wagner. I thought someone was having a laugh,
Yes.
But he basically just said, do you have an interest in football and can you draw it?
Okay.
Which I did have an interest in football.
Yeah. You made sure you could draw it.
Whether I could or couldn't, that wasn't debatable.
You were going to be drawing.
So I just said yes and yes, and he goes, cool, I've got your email and I'll send you all the details. And he just basically said,
simple as that.
Would you be interested in doing this? And he goes, it's a comic that we started, him and Alan Grant started writing in the 80s, which you can tell pretty much when you read it. It's a very... It does hark back to those War of the Roses 70s, 80s comic, but with a modern twist.
Yeah.
And, it was just an absolute joy when he asked, and I was like... just got straight into it, and... the rest is history.
Yeah. So what's that led to since then? I'm some
2000 AD
work,
lots of Judge Dredd work. I've just finished a 10-part Max Normal for the 2000 AD.
Okay.
And I'm currently on another Judge Dredd, which will be, I'm assuming, in the magazine in the near future. Yes, I'm busy.
So rosy.
Thank you. Yeah.
From driving a bus.
From driving a bus. Yeah, your dreams do come true.
It can happen.
It can happen.
Hard work, isn't it, at the end of the day?
It's hard work. It's sometimes luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Right place, right time.
Yeah.
He happened to have a copy of Future Quake.
Okay.
And he saw my work in it, and that's all it took.
Absolutely brilliant. So if people want to see more of your work, where can they find it? Other than in the pages of the Hulk 2000 AD.
I've got a website which I don't really update too often. It's always away. But Dan Cornwell WordPress. I'm on Facebook, which I'm always putting whatever I'm going to be doing next on there and what's coming out soon. And I'm on Twitter. So Dan Cornwell Art, I think it might be on Twitter. I never know my Twitter addresses or my... All right, I will.
And last thing, there's a second volume of Rock of Reds coming out as well.
There is. We're currently exploring the avenues of funding.
Right, yeah.
And possibility we're going to go... Issue 1's all but complete. He's done 3 or 4 scripts, so that's, a couple more scripts and we're finished on that. It's just funding. I think it's going to go down a Kickstarter very soon.
Well, it's got the audience now, so...
Exactly, yeah. So it's probably more news towards the end of the year as to exactly which way we're going to go. But I'm going to keep drawing the pages either way, so...
It's coming out, whatever.
It's coming out at some point, one way or the other.
Super. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Cheers. Right, I'll grab you now.
Okay.
Now I'm free for a minute. So this is Steve Yeowell. How are we doing today? How have we found Oldham?
Very nice, thank you very much. Yeah, very nice. Happy atmosphere, lots of families.
That's it, lots of kids.
Yeah,
talking then.
that's it. Yeah,
so
yeah.
Many kids it's brilliant.
Saying nice things about the artwork. You can't ask for more than that.
I think your success shows how good an artist you are. That's
Thank
for
you.
sure. I do remember reading Zenith back when I was, dare I say, a kid, just to not make you feel old.
Don't worry.
That series was just such an enjoyable ride. How did you find creating that and drawing it?
Just as you've described, an enjoyable ride. I never quite knew what Morrison was going to come up with next in the story. And it was everything that I wanted to be doing in comics at the time. I was just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. The dice fell as they should, and the planets aligned, and I spent how many years I was drawing it, having a great time.
It's excellent, yeah. I mean, it's just a bit of luck sometimes, isn't it? You see that bit of luck after your hard work to get you there in the first place.
Yeah.
To create such a wonderful series. So what have you gone for there then? What other work have you done?
From there, I've done bits and pieces for the Americans over the years. I've been lucky enough to get to draw Batman, Superman, Starman. I drew the first 4 issues of The Invisibles for Morrison, a title called Sebastian O for Vertigo in the very early days, and ongoing work with 2000 AD. Mighty Tharg has always been kind enough to keep me in work. So I'm currently drawing Sinister Dexter, written by the prolific and marvellous Dan Abnett, which I'm really enjoying.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's very fair. Is there a character that you haven't drawn yet that you'd love to get stuck into?
You've put me on the spot now. There's so many. God, I almost can't answer that. There's so many characters I'd like to draw.
Reel off a couple.
I would like to draw. I'd like to do some more DeMarco with Mike Carroll. I really enjoy drawing those. And I would like to draw Judge Death at some point. I think that would be pretty cool.
You can do almost what you want with that character, can't you?
Yeah.
Be as horrible as you want. Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I look forward to seeing more. And I must admit, I didn't bring my Zenith book, so thank you.
Always next time.
I'm going to say, make the chance to sit down. Use it. Sit on here.
Are you having a good day?
Yeah.
How's it gone first last year?
I think it's a better place.
Yeah, I do as well.
Definitely. So we'll just talk quickly about that. So, you've been running it for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Dennis Whittle, by the way. Let's introduce you on the podcast first of all. What made you want to start a Comic Con? Bearing in mind how tired and stressed you're looking right this second.
My daughter, who was 10 at the time, dared me to do it.
Okay.
And
That was dangerous by the sounds of it.
I don't like to disappoint my daughter.
Okay.
We basically came out of one of these little Comic Cons. I know that means nothing on podcasts.
I think they'll get what you
Yeah. And we basically said it was crap. And she said it was rubbish. And she said, why can't you do something? Days you do it better.
Yeah.
I went, all right then. And boopity bobbity boop.
Well, you've definitely done that. How have you got so many creators? Bearing in mind this is a free entry event.
Because I think they like the ethos behind the event. The ethos is not about making money. Nobody makes money from this. I don't make money. It's got 100% non-profit. They like the idea that it's about empowering people, inspiring people, and they like the no frills approach. Anyone can go up and have a chat with you. There's no barriers to anything, and they see it's not a massive kind of monster that is there just to kind of fleece the fans, really. And it is, creators come first. You can clearly see by the hall, the traders at the back, everyone else at the front. So it is very, very creator focused, and they get publicised and everything. You won't see me on a picture with anything because it's not about me, it's about the event.
Yeah, no, I just can't believe the names you got last year, and then you've just continued it this year.
Yeah.
As we were about to say, change of event, change of location this year. Last year was the library, which I can understand why you've changed. It was good in the library last year, but this...
We've just outgrown the library.
It's so much better.
Yeah, and the council, bless them, gave us this for free, gave us the building for free.
Right, okay.
So they've sponsored by giving us the building. They've helped a little bit financially with it as well.
Brilliant.
But basically it's begged, borrowed and steal to kind of get it on, really.
That's impressive. They're giving you for free, though.
Yeah.
That is good to hear.
We've had I think it's nearly 5,000 people in here today. They're all going to go into the town and spend money.
Yeah.
And the good thing about the Northwest, as you know from Lakes, is they support local events. So there's nothing like this. There's not, how many more 100% free Comic Cons are there in the country?
No, that is very different. And it's I'm so proud to be in the North because we've got such good events up here, as well as the crappy ones that we were just mentioning. I think some really great events.
It's not a competition, but I think I won.
I can't say anything.
But if you look at it logically,
they're very different.
Yeah, our con. My problem with cons these days are I think they're getting a bit too up themselves. I think they're becoming a little bit harder for the kind of part-time fans to kind of break in and go to them. A bit eyebrow, a bit expensive sometimes. As much as certain places, so it's free to go, but then you've got to pay so much to go and see the panel, so much to go and do this, and so much to go and do that, and that's a barrier. So if you're trying to get people into comics, if you're trying to get people buying comics, if you put a barrier in there, they're not going to do it. So we've had families of like 4 and 5 come in. We've had a coach full from the special needs school around the corner, bringing all their students here. Now, if you're charging £25, £10, £7 to get in, it's a lot of money. So doing it free means that they can all come and all enjoy it, and there's no barriers to kind of enjoying it, which I think is very important. Everyone's just gone to watch Endgame. How many people know that Captain America's doing publication? We've got artists for every character in that movie out there. So you see these little kids walking around speaking to these people who've drawn the characters. That's inspiring. And watching them walk out with comic books and stuff. And look how many Asian residents we've got here. Look how many kind of cross the different divides. We've got rich people, we've got poor. It doesn't matter because comics don't do that. Comics bring people together. But it doesn't if you're charging 35 quid to get in. Because it becomes eyebrow, it becomes a little bit up its own self, and I think that's a problem, especially when the comic business is on its arse. We need to be inspiring people to buy books. We need to be getting people into reading. Literacy levels in Oldham is one of the lowest in the country.
Okay.
So that's what kind of inspired the first time. So if we can get people reading comics, it's got to be better than reading text message and this and that. It's getting the mind going. So, but if you're charging to do that, I think that's wrong. I think that's morally wrong.
I can't say anything. I'm stumped with that.
Am I right?
No. The costs involved, sometimes it's silly, but yeah, I can understand what you're saying completely. But all I can go and say is it's been a great event. That's what I can say.
And it's probably cost less than you thought to put on.
Possibly. And the table rates for the small press are very fair as well, which I will
be
discussing.
Is it like 5 quid, 10 quid, something like that? All free?
It's about 20.
No, small press range from 20 to free.
Right.
If you're in a certain area within Manchester,
right,
it's free depending on what we've got, and then it goes up from that way. And the cost is basically to cover the height of the tables, chairs, and other various costs to bring
but
people
still,
here.
Whatever we paid, it was still fair charge.
The traders pay a little bit more because they make a lot more money out of it. And I think the idea is I don't want to charge for small press. I think going forward, small press are going to either be a £5 or £10 just to cover costs.
I think it's fair. You've got to pay something.
No, I don't think you do. Because, again, if we want to get people creating and get people into it, If I charge, say, you 80 quid to get in, how much stuff does a small press person have to sell to get? But now we've got, because they're not paid up, we've got a small press giving things away. Here, take a book, have a read. And then if I support small press, like Amy Chu was small press, she's now big press, and she's come here because of she likes the ethos of what we're doing. And like Keith Williams is exactly the same. Yeah. He's come from Brooklyn, never been to the UK, he's worked on practically every character known to mankind, yet no one's ever invited him. So we're looking for different sort of guests, different characters, not the same old, the same names pop up all the time, and that's fine because we have a base of the same sort of people we have all the time. But you bring people different, and I want to bring more female creators. Yeah. Because how many is there? How many cons up the country you see like headline Amy's our headline guest? Don't get that anywhere else.
Brilliant. Well, we've enjoyed what we've had today. So
I talked a lot, I do apologise. Sorry.
So any plans in place for next year yet?
Yeah.
He's not leaking anything yet.
2 days. 2 days.
Really? Okay.
2 massive guests already. One's already confirmed. One is about 90%.
Well, sign us up for another table. We'll be coming back. And thank you very much for your time.
It'll be free next time.
You heard it here. I'm recording that and remembering.
It'll be free next time.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
So with Asa Wheatley, which I believe I said correctly.
You did perfectly. Very rarely. It is an impressive feat. You're one of the few.
So your new comic's just been successful?
Yes, we successfully launched it on Kickstarter, Sprouting and Other Tales of the Curious.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about the work you've got on the table there.
So at the table at the moment we've got the first 2 issues of Tales of Mystery, which is a 4-issue series that we're planning between myself and Kat Willott, who's the artist, who also did one of the stories in the Sprouting anthology. It is essentially a private detective gets trapped in the body of a black cat, and it's him and his team trying to work their way to get him back out and back into human form. But there are shady organisations and secret organisations in the background as well. Of course.
Excellent. So what else have you got on there? So you've got a lot of stuff with Sammy Ward, who you said has worked with yourself as well.
So Sammy Ward and Kat Willott, I've worked with both of them on the Sprouting anthology. Sammy's got a fantasy comic, and then Kat has a kind of dinosaur-based comic that she does as well.
We'll grab them in a moment. Yeah, of course. Excellent. So what are your future plans then?
Well, it's getting the printing all sorted for Sprouting. Yep. Hopefully having that for the end of the month. And then once that's all done, we're working on Tales of Mystery issue 3, which I'm currently just working on the writing for at the moment. And then after that, I'm planning another anthology, but all set around like campfire stories. So it's a more kind of traditional horror, kind of like camp counsellors, all telling spooky stories, but then they might also be in one as well.
Thanks. And where can you find your stuff online?
You can find all my stuff at asawheatley.com. I am lucky enough and easy enough to all of my Twitters and Instagram is all Asa Wheatley. It's all very nice and simple.
No one else has got that name?
No, exactly,
Or no one can pronounce it correctly?
No one can pronounce it correctly,
Super, thank you very much.
No, thanks.
So how are you not very good at it? What's so hard?
I would trip over my words.
Okay. Tell us a bit about your work.
So I'm the illustrator. I've illustrated on Tales of Mystery and then my own comic, Dynamite. I draw everything by hand and then colour everything in on the computer in a very cartoony style.
That's good. So are you aiming at kids then? Is that the focus?
For Dynamite, yes. For Tales of Mystery, it's a darker story, so maybe not so much children.
Tell us a bit about the story.
So Tales of Mystery is a story about a detective who gets trapped inside the body of a black cat. Yeah. So then he's solving crime and also trying to become human again.
Everyone just wants to be a cat, though.
Yeah, they do,
Would you want to come back? I don't know. So have you found today then at Oldham?
It's been good today, We've been well looked after. I feel like it's been very busy. It's been a nice steady flow of people. So.
Do you feel it's had different types of people coming in as opposed to a paid con?
I think definitely as it's free, I feel like we've had a lot more variety in the people who've come in, and a lot of people who've taken a punt and just gone, we might as well have a look around. And open more eyes to comics, really.
I think
it's great,
Brilliant. And next to you, I'm going to jump in Sammy Ward.
Hi
Hi. You don't even know who I am. I'm going to introduce myself, but I'm going to have a quick chat with yourself, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your work. What's going on?
Well, I'm an illustrator and comics creator. Yep. So Scavengers is my first comic that I created last year. Okay. It's D&D and Norse mythology inspired, about a goblin girl and her wolf companion and their adventures in a giant's wasteland. So it's kind of a giant's graveyard, and they're wandering around. And
as soon as you say D&D, though, that seems to be the in thing at the minute, doesn't it? Let's be honest. It's growing out of proportion.
Well, I'm a huge fan of it. I can't, it has become very popular, but I think that's a good thing. So
I've seen quite a few comics, must admit, sprouting up based on that D&D.
Yeah.
Where do you think we're going to see that grow? Is there any areas that we've not reached yet, do you feel?
I don't know, to be honest. Just see where it goes.
It does.
Yeah.
It's exciting, I must admit.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it, because I love fantasy based.
Oh yeah, I love fantasy. Yeah, I love fantasy. I love playing D&D. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm a newbie. I'm just starting.
Yeah. How's it going?
It's we're on the starter box.
Okay. Yeah.
We're midway through, so I'm learning.
Yeah.
Where can you find your stuff?
It's on my website at sammywarddraws.com, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at sammywarddraws.
Thank you very much for your time.
That's right. No.
Cheers. So with Al Ewing, how have you found it today?
Not so bad. It's been very good. I'm a big fan of these kind of these free conventions where people come with their families. People come, they bring their kids. The kids get excited. They sort of get into the comics.
Just so important. Let's be honest.
Yeah, get into comics, get into reading. Just general. I do find it I think it's important to kind of when the opportunity to sort of do something like this and help out with something like this comes along. It's it's good to do this at least once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to have been asked to come down, and it's been great. It's been a lovely bunch of people I've been meeting.
So your career started back with 2000 AD.
Yes, way back when.
Such a vital part. I speak to so many people at events like this, and it is just such a career starter for so many British.
I mean, for a lot of people, the reason for that is. And if you want, if you have a hankering to write comics or draw comics, 2000 has their submissions guidelines available on their website, and they do take unsolicited work. That's not a guarantee.
No.
You're going to have to fight your way through the slush pile. Sorry, I'm just signing a thing. You'll have to fight your way through the slush pile, but thank you. They do take things that are unsolicited. Technically they will look at them. Whereas, the more kind of, there are companies who their policy is not to even look at it. So 2000 very much are the kind of the big open door of comics as a career in this country, and they're also, for a lot of people, especially my age, it's like the first adventure comic.
I think we're at a very similar age, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think it certainly allows you, as a teenager, to feel like you're reading adult stuff when it's for anybody, really. That's what's
I started reading it roughly the eight or 9. And it was pitched definitely very slightly older.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe 10 to 12 at that stage. But it sort of grew with me. And it always felt like it was a couple of years ahead of me as I grew up. And I think that's a good thing for kids. I feel like kids like comics that are squarely aimed at them. They also like comics that are aimed a little bit over them. And I think that's also important because kids should be reading a little bit above their weight. Just a little bit. Just to kind of, in books, in comics, they should be reading something maybe slightly more literary. Like, you know, when I was a kid, I read Catch-22 at quite a young age. I don't think it did me particular harm. But I was reading, in terms of comics, I was reading things like I say, 2000 AD was picked very slightly older. Some of the early Vertigo titles, Swamp Thing, I was reading at a very young age. And these are things which I think it's good for kids to kind of have a broad thing. As long as it's not inappropriate for them.
Mm-hmm.
With the Hulk, I mean, I wouldn't just give it to a kid. I haven't had many kids actually ask for it. I suspect they're all reading it already. But one who did, who was like, "Oh, I want a copy of the Hulk," I kind of just quietly said to the mum, "Do you want a quick flick through it?" Because I don't think there's anything in there that I wouldn't give to a kid if, I wanted to scare them. But, it's behind the sofa stuff. And, if your kid is prone to nightmares, this might induce them. And, I'm flick through and I say, "Oh, no, it's fine." And it's and then I was like, "Okay, well, here you go, kids, don't have bad dreams." And it's if you can, kids set their own kind of, their own thing in terms of the sort of, the behind the sofa factor, they set their own thing, in terms of the spookiness.
So what does the future hold for yourself then? What plans have you got?
I'd say more Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff being announced. I've also got something that's mine that is sort of slowly, it's coming into being. I can't really say more than that right now, just that it's on its way. There will come a point where I announce it properly. But right now, all I'll say is that there are serious plans in the works for something that is creator-owned. So, and there's more Hulk for people who want that, and there are some other things from Marvel which have not been announced yet, and a couple that have, which if you've been following things. But yeah,
super. Thank you
all
very
right,
much.
awesome. No, pleasure.
So here with Keith Williams. How are you doing?
Oh, great.
How are you finding good old Blighty?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the people. I love the area.
Have you done a British convention before?
Never. This is the first time that we've been actually overseas.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your career's been. I don't want to say long going because that makes it
like I'm old. Like I'm old.
I'm not saying that. Yeah. Very illustrious career.
Yes. Okay. There you go. I like that. That's nice.
So how did you get into comics in the first place?
Got in comics from reading comics. When I was a kid, loved comic books. Grandmother gave me my first comic. It was a Batman comic. Loved it. Kept buying comic books after that. Put together, had big comic book collection. Went to comic book stores, buy that. Started drawing. I was drawing in elementary school. All the way up through the grades. Had major art courses in high school. Did school shows and stuff like that. And just found that I really love doing comics, doing comic book characters, drawing them and stuff like that.
Over here we've got 2000 AD, which is such a good gateway comic for creators. But you haven't really got anything like that, I don't feel, or certainly probably. How do creators get noticed over the States?
It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. You really would have to know, somebody basically. I was fortunate. I have a friend, Howard Perlin, whose father was Don Perlin. Did Werewolf by Night and Ghost Rider and a bunch of stuff like that. And he was interested in seeing my stuff, and showed me a few things here and there, like how to fix my artwork, stuff like that. Spoke to some people up at Marvel and said that I would be interested, if I would be interested in doing background work for them. at Marvel, and background work is just doing everything but the figure.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, sure. So I started doing background, started getting more and more work in that. There was possible choice of me being a paraprofessional at the high school that I went to, but the work was coming in really good at Marvel, and that's really what I wanted to do, and that was my foot in the door.
So you spent many years doing the Phantom?
Yes, from 1995 to 2005. That I worked on the Phantom with George Olsen was the penciler, and I was the inker on it, and the letterer. After Milt Snappin died, who was the original letterer on the book.
Yeah. Is the Phantom still going then? It's not one I've
The Phantom is still going.
It needs to be more mainstream, I feel. It needs to get out there.
Would wish that it was more mainstream.
It's so different to any of the other characters. It just stands out.
Yes. They don't really have it too much in the States. Right. I would do the book, but I would never see my own stuff in a newspaper. No. Fans would send me copies. Right, okay. of pieces of newspapers that would have the Phantom in it.
Oh.
That would be the only way that I would see it in print. Yeah, it was so weird. But fortunately we were able to at least keep some of the original artwork because of technology. Mm-hmm. So I was able to send via email the artwork to King Features, so they had that. And we had the artwork, so I was able to share with me and George Olsen. We were able to keep, a bunch of the artwork and be able to sell whatever we wanted to do with it. But it was nice to have the artwork in our hands. And
I think that sometimes it's missing.
Yes.
It's sad.
Yes. Oh, hi, sign? Sure. No problem. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, let me do it with this. There you go.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
So what plans have you got now for the future then? What are you working on?
I am doing the convention circuit.
Right, okay, yeah.
Basically, and doing a lot of commissions, people. I have another convention that's going to be coming up soon in the U.S., New Jersey, the East Coast Comic Con. So that's next weekend. So
I've just seen, I must admit, I was watching your table, trying to get an interview with yourself, and the amount of people that come in and just get it's amazing. It's great to see. It's brilliant to see.
I'm very happy, that there's so many people that really like to see me and talk to me. I'm just thinking of this basically as a job. I can get a job to get done, and to see a lot of the kids and a lot of adults come up to me and say that they love my work and stuff.
Making them very happy. It must feel good.
It makes me really feel good. It makes me aware of something that I was totally unaware of. That people really take to the stuff that I'm doing, and
thank you very much for your time.
Sure.
Hope to see you over here again sometime. Then you've been once, you're going to have to come again now.
Oh, absolutely.
Get back over here.
Absolutely, man.
Super. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Room for one lawgiver, please.
Judge Dredd. Or is it just Dredd? Fancy seeing you here.
Catwoman, you also here for the Comic Art Festival or a stint in the ISO cubes?
Of course. I love to see my makers in action. Watch it, Greenie.
Careful, Hulk. In this town we have a saying. Once is a coincidence, twice is a booking offence.
I think he booked the events on the website.
Huh?
ComicArtFestival.com. It's got all the perfect information about the event.
Yeah, so's my fist. Drock, I'm out of here. Not standing around with those 4 tortoises that have just entered the building. Cowabunga, dude!
Find out all about the Lakes International Comic Art Festival and booking information at www.comicartfestival.com.
Hello, we are back. Is that, you're not saying anything?
I thought, shall I say something or shall I just leave it? Hang it
stop, yeah?
Maybe I'm not back.
Let's talk some Lakes stuff. Right, they've announced Belgian guests for 2019.
Good luck with the names.
It's really annoying that the computer's in front of me and not you, so I can't make
This is brilliant.
Nearly 70 creators from 14 countries will be at this festival.
You're going to do all 70?
Belgium creators, Sergei Biancan, Ephemeron, Loic Guam, Ben...
so what was that one? No, can we go back to that one, please?
Lemaitre, Marina Snyder, Judith Van Estrel, and Joris Vermason. I apologise to all of them for mispronouncing.
Which you did, probably all of them.
We need to speak to them at the lakes to find out exactly how you
We need to record all of them speaking their own names.
Yes. And also Wallonia Brussels International, I apologise again, will be bringing a Smurfs exhibition over the here.
I love the Smurfs.
So, they've also announced, as I just bring up, the Clock Tower lineup as well, which has got some brilliant creators. In the some of the creators in the lineup, including Sean Phillips, obviously.
My best friend Sean.
Got artists Matt Carter, Paul Harrison Davis, Emma G, Emma Inky, Michael Kennedy, Roger Langridge, Joe Latham, Angela Pan, and writer John Harris Dunning. So obviously we want Michael Kennedy and John Harris Dunning as promised. Drinks.
They have they?
They have.
We shall hold them to this.
They may have forgotten. It was like almost
No, we just need to keep reminding them now.
And also, as I say, the Clock Tower lineup has been announced. So you've got, these aren't all definite, but possibly First Fart books might be coming. Fingers crossed.
Yay!
I'm not even going to list.
No.
There's too many.
Don't do it.
So check out the news section on the Comic Art Festival website, or just click on the exhibitors bit at the top.
Yep.
And it'll give you the full list of exhibitors coming along to this year's event.
Can't wait. Well, I can wait because I want some summer first before it rains.
Do you want them to change the date?
No, you could keep it in October. It's something to look forward to between end of summer and Christmas.
One I will mention, obviously this Pete Taylor will be there.
Pete Taylor's coming. Is he round the back? Tutton Grown!
Returning as well.
Oh, I'm going to buy him another cake.
It's going to cost us money.
I know. I'm going to have to go to Greg's again.
That's good. Right. So, reviews quickly of some films.
Yes.
Which one do you want to do first?
I don't mind.
Let's do Detective Pikachu.
Pikachu!
And I'm only doing this because it is a cartoon as well as a game. So it fits within our spectrum of films. Yeah, but it doesn't talk like that, does he?
He does.
No, he doesn't.
Like 3 times.
So, do you want to give us a brief rundown of the initial story of Detective Pikachu?
It's about a son.
What, in the sky?
Finding out that his father's been in a car accident. They're estranged, aren't they? Him and his son. And he goes to find out what happened to his dad, basically, in Rhyme City. Yes. A city where people and Pokemon live together in harmony. But it's not all as it seems. So basically, and I don't want to go because I don't want to spoil it.
Well, obviously by the trailer, he bumps into
his dad's partner Pokemon, which is Pikachu. And he can, something happens, and he can understand Pikachu, and Pikachu can understand him.
And he's voiced by Ryan.
It's basically Deadpool Pikachu. It's awesome.
I don't know how they ever thought about doing that, but it fits so well.
It's so good.
It is. The overall movie is very clever.
It's a solid movie.
For someone who, I know Pokemon, but not over well, having played only one of the
games. And now we have broken up.
I enjoyed it.
Yes.
I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it.
I loved it because I love Pokemon and I love Ryan Reynolds and I love Pikachu. So I was a very happy girl.
I think it's a good idea the way they did what they did. The storyline.
They did it right.
To bring the characters into the...
Oh, yeah. You had to do a smaller story set within such a huge world that is Pokemon. They also did it right to the fans. The Pokemon looked like they should. They didn't have a Sonic moment. So Charizard looks like he should. You know, the little tiny Bulbasaur, they look like they should.
With the right skin, fur, or whatever. Which
yes,
you don't see in the cartoons.
No, because they're pixelated. Or cartoons. So, yes, they did it how they would look if they were real. And I didn't have a problem with that at all.
No. I do feel they can now continue this and do a proper Pokemon story, as in a tournament type story. I think that's what we'd want next, isn't it?
I don't care as long as Ryan Reynolds is voicing all the Pokemon. I know that this probably won't happen.
No, because I reckon they'll completely.
Oh yeah, that won't happen now.
It's happened.
Yeah,
I think they need new characters.
Ash.
Well, no, not Ash, but someone to that extent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they should take those characters are in there. You know, you can bring him in some way, but not as a main character. That's for sure.
They should. You know what they should do next? A Team Rocket.
No, because I was just about to say, don't bring them into it.
Yes, Jesse and James, bring them in it. At least then you can have a talking Pokemon, then you can have a Meowth.
I'm going to ask a question now, and anyone who's seen Detective Pikachu will also should think the same thing. Meowth, yeah. Whatever he's called.
Meowth.
How do they understand him?
Meowth learnt to talk properly.
Yes,
he was a band.
I was about to link it to Detective Pikachu, and people were like, "Oh,
no." Because he was abandoned. He was so sad. He'd lost his. He kind of spent his time in the ceiling of a foreign language school, and he learnt then every night how to talk. So there you go. Now you know.
Okay.
Now you know how Meowth learnt to talk. He taught himself.
But yeah, if you're a fan of video games or you got kids, it's worth going and seeing.
It's a solid movie. It's the best video game movie ever.
No.
Yes.
Mortal Kombat!
No, it's better than that.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's not. It's better than Double Dragon and Mario and Street Fighter.
Yeah.
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 Okay, the next one we are a little bit behind discussing, but we finally caught up on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
What were your thoughts going into this?
I was really looking forward to it.
Okay.
I'd seen enough things on Tinternets and trailers to know that I was going to love the art style and that everyone loved it. So my expectations were high.
You're a pain though. If someone likes things, you generally aren't going to be interested in it.
That's very true. So but I like the art style.
Okay.
I liked all the different amalgamations of art. And I thought it looked slick and fun.
We're not going to go into the story because that's been talked about.
Oh, right. So, spoilers.
Yeah, I immediately cared about Miles.
Yes.
Peter, obviously, was very good.
Oh.
His role, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And then their little chemistry was really nice. I cared about Miles and his dad because that's just me.
Yeah.
I have issues there.
I like Miles and Gwen.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that was good.
No, the whole thing was brilliant.
And that's it. It was an enjoyably very good movie.
Apart from the music, it was really scary.
But that's good.
Yeah.
Fisk was amazing. He's huge. In fact, all the characters are bad guys. I mean, I don't like that version of Scorpion.
Okay.
I wasn't a fan of that. I didn't like the Goblin, but that's Miles's world.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the same as the usual Peter Parker that we're used to sort of seeing. But no, I thought it was very good.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It hit the nail at every level.
And they can easily just do another one.
Oh, God, yeah. It kind of left it a little bit open at the end, I thought.
Well, it says they've not brought in, is it Madam Spider? I'm not sure what she's called, but they've not brought her who controls this. So as soon as you bring her in, you can just pop them left, right and centre wherever you want to go.
Yeah. So, which that could be what the ending was
easy to do,
hinting at, maybe.
So, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be hard to top it.
It is one of those things, isn't it? It's like now you've got to keep that standard.
So, best Marvel movie you've seen this year is? Okay, it's Sony, but it's still Marvel. She's thinking now. You've only got like a couple to compare.
I know, but I'm going to have to say Endgame.
Really? Over Spider-Man? See, I thought you'd have said Spider-Man.
No.
Interesting.
Because Endgame made me cry and Spider-Man didn't.
No, it wasn't quite the same.
No.
You didn't have 10 years worth of build-up.
No, exactly. There was not the same gravity
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. No, Endgame.
But we do want to see Miles' story played out in real life now.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
You don't even have to. You can have him a separate film to Peter Parker's,
Yeah.
and then just have them bump into.
They can meet at some point.
You don't
yeah.
have to be at the same city or whatever. They can put you in.
And they could bring Spider-Gwen in.
That's another one that needs to be done. Obviously,
Needs to be done.
Yeah. Excellent. Right. So after you left Oldham,
Yes.
you came away with a bit of a buzz.
Oh, right, yes. I was like, what did I do when I left Oldham? I just came home and had pizza.
So what have you decided to do?
Oh, I'm going to do a graphic novel, a proper 200 graphic novel.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
How many pages are you into that?
I'm
joking.
One.
You've only just started. Okay.
1 page.
So what challenges do you foresee?
I foresee challenges getting down on paper parts of my life.
So what is the story going to be, essentially?
It's my life. Because I actually have a very...
You are the worst person to interview.
You may practice on me for all your interviewing techniques. Can I say the name?
Yeah.
So it's the life and times of a zookeeper's daughter, because I was born in a zoo. And I had a very interesting childhood. Not in a cage. Oh, I haven't heard that one before. And I had a very, very interesting, exciting childhood. And then I actually have done some weird jobs and things in my life. And then I was horrendously bullied at school for 7 years. So I'm going to have to go into, and I'm going to find that quite difficult, I think, to actually relive those moments, because they shape you as a person, don't they? So I've got that to go through too. And then there's later on in my life, there's more heartache. But at the minute, I'm quite happily going through my childhood. It's great.
I think, as I said to you, no matter what you go through in life, I think most people go through this really lovely childhood. Not everybody does, obviously, but
in
majority in it. Well, not that you have to. Then they deal with their teenage years. Some are worse than others.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we all have hit these
then
different milestones things.
Something in their life that's going to suck ass. It might only be for a year. It might be for 10 years.
14 years.
And then at some point, hopefully they come out of it.
Yeah.
40s, 50s, when they can see what mistakes they've made or whatever. And hopefully then they come up. But a lot of people go through a similar journey just with different aspects.
Yeah. I'm not, my journey's not unique at all.
It's an interesting thing to make people see how to deal with things in some ways.
I think from doing Anxiety Me, and having people relate to the feelings that I've managed to evoke in them. And so I didn't do Anxiety Me as a self-help or anything like that. I just did it as a friend to say, this is how it feels for me. I'm there for you type thing. It's I didn't do it to say, and this is how you're going to feel and it will be brilliant. It was just like, this is just a snapshot into how it feels for me. Maybe, you won't feel so alone. And then obviously with Leaf, it's friendship, and that's always a nice area to go to. So I want this book for people to just read it, have a chuckle, because some of it is quite funny. And then also come with me on those little journeys of where it all goes wrong. And just hold my hand whilst they, go through it, and we'll go together, and maybe you'll get your hand held by my book type thing.
Be interesting. It's going to take a fair while.
Yeah.
To do, but it'd be interesting to follow your journey.
And you shall.
Yes.
I shall never let anyone get away with not knowing exactly what's going on with that.
Okay. Well, if you're interested in seeing more about it, then go and see your website, which I'm sure you'll update now and again.
You've let me into it, so I can do it.
Stopped you.
You were doing my blog, and
because
it wasn't
you weren't
me.
doing anything.
Well, that's because it's scary. But I'm doing it now, so it's
Nikki
fine.
Draws.pictures.
Yes.
Go and have a nosy.
Yes. You'll
Check
notice a different
out.
writing style to, now that I've taken over.
Now that you're actually doing something.
Yeah.
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 She makes it sound like she wouldn't do it otherwise.
I wouldn't. I'm a procrastinator.
Anyway, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
We will see you on the 1st of June.
Oh, will it ever get warmer?
It's warm enough. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Find out more about the festival at comicartfestival.com. Find out more about the show and how to contact us at comicartpodcast.uk. Find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Music composed by Pop Noir.
It's something else.